Welcome back to Bagel Bytes. Today we're going to cover how to query against different field types. Specifically, we're going to focus on the option field, the plain and rich text field, and finally the number field. Great, so let's jump right in. In the last video, we created a new collection called books, and we added in some books. I've gotten ahead and added in some more books, and I've also added some more fields. So if you look in the schema, I've added an age group, which is an options field. And in the age group options field, we have the options 5 to 10, 11 to 18, and 18 plus. I've also added a number field for number of pages and a date for the published date. So now we're going to go ahead in our editor and we're going to create some functions which will query against these different fields. Here in the editor, I've scaffolded a couple of functions. So search for book by title, search for book by description, and a couple of others. Let's go ahead and start filling them in. Right, in the first one, we're going to search for book by title. So we're going to write a function. So let data equals await collection. And the collection is the BagelDB collection of books. We're going to do a dot query. And the dot query function takes three parameters. It takes a key, an operator, and a value. The key is the key we would like to search against. And in this instance, it's title. We're going to start off with using a equals operator. And there's a couple of different operators that BagelDB offers. For example, greater than or less than, or Regex Match. And finally, we have the value. In this instance, it's book title we would like to search against. We then finish off our request with a .get. Finally, we're going to console log our data so we can see what gets returned back to us from BagelDB. Over here, we're going to call. And for the first one, we're going to make a call to Lord of the Flies. So we copy the title because we're doing an exact match, and we paste it in. Let's run that function. And we see that we get back Lord of the Flies. We could also, for example, go back. Say we want to make a call a Promised Land. And we see we get back a Promised Land. What happens, for example, we want to implement search into our website. Instead of doing an exact equals, which would be quite difficult for a user to know exactly what they want to search for, we might do a regex match. And for example, we might come down to just the A. And we see we get almost every book because they all have an A in them somewhere. But for example, we might want to do a search for Lord. And here we see we get Lord of the Rings and Lord of the Flies. The two books which have Lord in them. Let's go on. For example, we might want to make another search by description. Now in this instance, it would not make sense again to do a exact match because it's very rare that someone's going to know the exact description that they're searching for. So again, we'll do a regex match, and we're regexing against the book description. We're going to implement that, and let's come across here again. And for example, we might search against the book. Let's comment out this call. Let's run the function. And we forgot to log. And we must also complete the .get. And we must await the function. Great. And here we see we got a matching to the book, as it says over here. Let's continue. We may also want to search by the number of pages in a book. So for example, we'll just say equals await collection dot query. And here we're doing number of pages. And for example, we want to start off with greater than. So we want to search for all the books with the greater than X pages. We do the .get, and we console log out our data. And here, for example, we're going to search for books by number of pages. And we're saying for all books with greater than 300 pages. Cool. And here we can see that the books that have been returned all have pages greater than 300. 768, 423, and we have 368. Or for instance, we might want to say less than. Let's call that again. And we see here we have books with 278 pages, 224, and 223, and 224. Great. That's an example of what we could do with the number field. The final type of field that I would like to show you is the options field. Now, if we look back in the schema, the options field has 3 different options. It has ages 5 to 10, it has ages 11 to 18, and finally it has 18 plus. Each of these fields has been assigned an ID. And generally what we would do is use that ID to query against. So here I've set up the 3 constants, the 5 to 10, which is that ID, 11 to 18, and the 18 plus. And here we're going to search for book by age group. So we set up our collection. We say let's get the data. And we do collection dot query dot get. We await that. And we're querying against the age group. And because we're doing it against the ID, we must specify the ID. And we're going to say it's equals to equal. And finally, we say the value that we're searching with is the age group. We're going to console log our data. And now we're going to call this function. And let's start with looking for books for age groups 5 to 10. Let's clear and let's call it. And here we should see that we've received all the books, which happens to be 1 book, for ages 5 to 10. Or for example, we might want to search for 11 to 18. Let's recall the function. And here we see we get back all the books for ages 11 to 18. So Turning the Champion of the World and Harry Potter. And finally, as the last example, we might want to search for 18 plus. Great. And here we have the couple of books that we have that is for 18 plus. And that's the types of queries that I'm going to take you through today. As always, the links to log on to BagelDB is in the description, as well as our Discord channel, and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for joining.